here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. There on the wall. Under the bottle. Behind the door. There's a crack in the mirror. Somewhere there's a hole in the way.
Good morning. It is opening night for the National Football League, but in these parts, that is taken back seat to anxious moments. The last 48 hours have been dreadful for the University of Memphis basketball team. First, we know it started off with 3 assistant coaches, Faraji Phillips, Jamie Rosser, and the first one was Jermaine Johnson, all getting let go. Then the Jermaine Johnson somehow thing got reinstated, and a young man named, his last name is Dyson, who basically was an assistant to Penny, like making sure his clothes got there and things of that nature. There was some basketball-related responsibilities, but he was a low-level assistant. He was then put in that list, and Jermaine Johnson was back in. And then the bombshell. While I was gone, I missed yesterday because I was the caretaker for my wife who had a routine medical procedure that, as you get older, you have to have. The bombshell came when it was announced that Rick Stansbury was let go. But that was just the beginning of bombshells. The most crazy thing about the Stansbury thing was I thought at the end of the season that Rick would leave. When he decided to come back, then I thought, well, this is a major commitment. And honestly, Rick has been instrumental in putting this team together. So the fact that he's gone is amazing. And you're scratching your head and you're going, wow, why? How could this be? Then the bombshell comes out, and frankly, we don't know for a fact that there's any tie-in between these firings, and that's what they are. They're not, these guys resigned, these guys were fired by Penny. That there are serious allegations against the program that was sent to the NCAA by an anonymous person. So this letter arrives, not signed by anybody, but it spells out that there are violations that include academic fraud. Now, we sort of had heard about that before, and that's what the Malcolm Dandridge case is all about. And then the other is that before there was NIL, so this goes back quite a ways, that there were payments to 2 players. One never played here, and the other did play here and was denied a final year when payments were allowed. So the allegations are Emmanuel Acott, who was at Boise, was coming here and ended up, oddly enough, with Rick Stansbury at Western Kentucky. Never played here. And then it's DeAndre Williams, who really wanted to continue to play here, loved being a Tiger. And there's an alleged, I think it's $30,000 that found its way to him. This would be before, it would have to be the year before the NIL became a legal thing. The most troubling thing is the allegations of academic fraud, and the big name that we've heard that has been out there is Malcolm Dandridge, and part of the reason that it's out there is strictly because the university took the proactive approach and sat him down for the last 5 games because they felt like they had a problem. Now, there are apparently, according to the one source that has released a lot of this, Hitman Hoops, who I think has been on with Greg and Eli, he claims there could be 3 other people involved in the academic fraud case. That, to me, is the most serious of all of these because, a payment to a kid who never got here, and this is an anonymous letter, remember. How accurate is it really? You don't sign it. I do think the NCAA is going to investigate it. I've heard some, they're not going to investigate it because it's anonymous. Well, I don't believe that that'll be the case, although it does make you go, anybody could make up anything and send it, right? But there are some specifics here that I believe would make the NCAA go, okay, we're going to check this out. And don't forget, the U of M is on probation. So I have no idea where this is going. I have no idea if these allegations are true. But I know it is troubling, and it's all happened under Penny's watch. Now, is Penny severing himself from the guys that might have been involved? Is that the reason? We don't know. All he said was he decided, even though it's bad timing, to take this group into a different direction. And he took the guy out of the picture that was involved in really instrumental in building this team for this year. So, obviously, we are going to have to sit and wait. I have no idea how quickly the NCAA's decisions to bring justice to the sport will take. Obviously, Memphis self-reported some stuff. That was Ed Scott who did that several weeks ago. And so the new athletic director has a lot of work to do. I don't know if he was involved in any kind of recommendations to Penny to rid himself of some of these guys. I know he thought the staff was pretty big. It is the biggest staff I had ever seen. And Penny's gone through coaches. I believe the Daily Memphian did a story that since Penny arrived here, 6 years ago, is it? 41 different coaches have come and gone. I know 17 of some of those are way down the list, right, of staffers. I think they have, a minister that's in there that does the team chaplain. But I believe 17 assistant coaches, associate head coach, that sort of thing, 17 of those have come and gone in this time period. So I guess the culture has been a culture of change, particularly the last 2 years, where we have seen so many players come and go. In fact, just a one scholarship player this year. Now all you can do is sit and fret. I don't know how long it takes for the NCAA to make their moves. Will this season be affected? We do not know. Is there any viability to these allegations? We do not know. All we can do is sit and wait and wonder. And it's going to make for some anxious times. That is for sure. I did mention, by the way, opening night, Kansas City and Baltimore. That is an AFC title rematch. I do think Kansas City is going to be a great again this year, Mr. Boyd. But I think Baltimore's going to win because they've got more to prove tonight. And these early games don't matter. It's the late games and the playoffs that really matter. Even though it's in Kansas City, I kind of like Baltimore tonight.
I mean, Detroit was in Kansas City, too, last year. And they ended up winning.
Yeah.
So give me the Ravens.
You're taking the Ravens with me. Okay. We're on the same page on all of that. We will start today with the NBA, as we always do, because the TV voice of the Grizzlies, Pete Pranica, has gotten up early. He's in California for a concert and some hiking. He was kind enough to join us again, and we'll talk a little bit about G.G. Jackson. And, oh, by the way, the federal judge has granted Diamond Sports the ability to do their reconstruction deal with the NBA and the NHL. We'll chat with him about that to start with in just a minute. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder to you, it's still happening. The biggest spa sale going on. Now the Labor Day sale has sort of slipped away, but not the big spa sale where you can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs. They're ready, for delivery. The spas start at $28.99. You won't find a better price. Now, the cool thing is these cold plunges out in California where Pete is. All these movie stars, that's how they start their day. They do a cold plunge, a sauna, back into a cold plunge. Apparently gets the blood circulating. Those are under $4,000. The swim spas, the big Cadillacs, the $17,499 ones that are huge, they have special financing available, and that price is pretty special. $17,499. Just get to I-40 and Wooden Road. Tell Billy, tell Lindsay, tell the whole crew we sent you, and you would like to check out this big spa sale. Let's head our way west to California, and Pete Pranica joins us. Have you tried the cold plunge yet this morning?
No, but it'd be a really good idea. It's going to be about 113 here in Palm Springs, so a cold plunge sounds like a lot of fun.
Cold plunge? You're going to hike in 113 degrees?
No. See, you take a tram up into the mountains where it's only 85.
Oh, I see. So wait.
Very strategic.
And let me get this right. If I note my elevation changes here, you take the tram up, so you're walking down. Correct?
No, you take the tram. No. You go to the top of the mountain, you hike around the top of the mountain, and you take the tram back down.
Okay.
No, we're talking thousands of feet of elevation, not hundreds.
No, I got that. That'll be a lot of fun for you today. That's nice. And then you got a concert. Who are you saying?
Yeah, Chris Bodie at Thornton Winery in Temecula, California. Fantastic jazz trumpeter who kind of cut his teeth as the trumpeter in Sting's band back in the day.
It's a good life for you, Pete, huh?
I try to travel as much as I can because, boy, once the season starts, it's nose on the grindstone and 82. So, you gotta have fun when you can.
All right. The federal judge over jurisdiction on this Bally or Diamond Sports deal involving restructuring of the business practices in regards to the deals with the NBA and the NHL has given permission to go forward with this new restructured deal. How does that affect you in any way and the Grizzlies and their exposure with Comcast and everybody else here in this marketplace?
It doesn't affect anybody because Diamond now has their deals in place with Comcast, Xfinity, with DirecTV, with Charter. So basically, it's business as it was last year. So, there really should not be any substantial changes that anybody sees. It's going to be the same broadcast crew, same production crew for us. Same typical number of games that we're able to do, and so. From our standpoint, as we understand it, it's going to be business as usual. So
as far as a consumer like me goes, I don't have to pay anything extra than what I'm already paying the Comcast, right? It's going to be, I'll turn on 831, and there will be Pete Brevin and Fish.
I haven't taken a dive into where they put Bally on the package, so I haven't researched.
They kept it the same place. At least right now. So if I want to watch the Braves or the Cardinals, it's the same place it's always been. The two allocated stations for Bally's on the Xfinity spectrum are in the same place. So I'm assuming that would be the case.
Yeah.
All right. G.G. Jackson. Wow. It's like you guys can't buy a break. All the injuries last year. Here's this promising guy, which, by the way, the Grizzlies get for a real good price. And he's working out in Dallas, I guess it is, and breaks his foot. It required surgery, and apparently that surgery, once in there, they found that the healing process would take a while. In fact, 3 months before they're even going to check him again, which means the earliest he can come back is December. That is another tough break.
It is. It's Adam Silver was questioned about load management a couple of years ago, and he said, "Look, the only way you're going to prevent injuries is to not play basketball." And I think if you're a Grizzlies fan, you want the players playing during the summer and working on their games. And so it's just an unfortunate incident, and it's kind of head scratching how all these things have kind of come the Grizzlies' way, and it obviously is very frustrating, but. I think as we talked about in the last visit with Diakite being waived, now you have an extra roster spot to give you flexibility. Well, now you may you may fill that 15 spot because you're not going to have Gigi for 3 months, or at least be evaluated in 3 months, I should say. So there may be some training camp battles for somebody who thinks that they might be able to, to get a little time with the Grizzlies in that 15 spot.
I am curious. Do you get this is pretty short term, so you may not. But I remember last year there were some injury exceptions and roster flexibility with openings because of injuries. Would you have 2 spots that you could temporarily fill, at least one of them, because this is an injury that required surgery?
I would have to check the CBA. I think you almost have to have multiple guys with long-term injuries. I don't think it can just be one guy.
Okay, we certainly don't want that to happen.
No,
that is for sure. Do you ever think? I've noticed this. There's so much money now going out, and more, 10% more every year for a long time because there's so much money coming in with TV. That these guys are such an investment for a team because there's so much money now on the line. Do you think there could be more strict guidelines? I guess would have to go through the CBA, but all these guys go elsewhere to practice. They don't practice in their hometowns. They don't practice in the gym that you've got in FedEx Forum that is strictly the Grizzlies. Do you believe that some point in time they'll write, like they have waivers in these contracts where, let's say, I remember this from years ago, Jim Lonborg, the pitcher for Boston, got hurt in a ski accident, and then all of a sudden there are these clauses you can't go skiing while you're in contract. Do you think there will be limitations as to where you can practice in the near future because there's so much money involved with these guys?
I mean, Gigi's injury could have happened at FedEx Forum. It could have happened in training camp. You go up for a layup. Maybe you get contacted by a defensive player and you land however you landed, which the landing was described, I guess, as being awkward. It can happen anywhere. It can happen anytime. Like Adam Silver said, the only way to prevent injury is to just not play, which is kind of counterintuitive to what we're trying to do here. So I don't think so. I mean, many times, and I always reference a couple of years ago, Zaire Williams and Santi Aldama went to the Canary Islands, and they had one of the Grizzlies' assistants. And some of the player development folks with the Grizzlies, a player will say, I want to work with this player development person, and I want to do it in my hometown, or I want to do it wherever. So there is supervision, but I don't think you're ever going to get the players to a point saying where, whatever you train, you have to train with our people in a controlled setting. Because look, if you're playing 5-on-5 basketball, if you're playing full-speed basketball, stuff's going to happen. And I don't think, even if there had been a Grizzlies person supervising that workout, that wasn't going to prevent the injury. So I don't really see there being any change. I mean, obviously, you're going to communicate to your players that you want them to be in controlled settings and settings where there is proper athletic training support and things like that. But again, you land funny. Zach Edey in Summer League stepped on a guy's foot twice.
Right.
All the supervision in the world is not going to change that.
Next month, Zebo will be put into the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame. I've got a feeling, since I have a vote, that when it's all said and done, all 4 of the core 4 will end up being in the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame. This was the core group that really, I thought, put the Grizzlies into the Memphis sports DNA. They were definitely the leaders in that category. Your thoughts about Zebo going in and just as that a reflection on that era?
It's a tremendous honor for him. I think I've told the story a million times, but I was with the Blazers in Portland when Zach was drafted. So I saw the 19-year-old knucklehead Zach, and I saw him the much more mature family man and leader of that core 4. So it's a tremendous honor. It's certainly well-deserved. I am so proud of the person that he became and how he basically resuscitated his career in Memphis after some stops in L.A. and New York that weren't exactly what he wanted them to be. And he became a vital part of the community and a guy that right now could run for mayor, and he may well win. So it's a great honor. Just love seeing the guy. There's never a time that you see him that you don't get a big hug and an I love you. And he's really and truly one of the sweeter people that has ever come through. And I agree with you, Wolo. I think all four should be in the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame at some point because they all brought tremendous joy and a lot of wins to the Grizzlies and to the city of Memphis. And I think really solidified the Grizzlies' identity in the city of Memphis, which I think is hugely important.
A month from tomorrow, believe it or not, there will be an open practice, the first open practice, because camp is going to take place in Nashville due to some refiguring of sound in FedEx Forum. What do you see in these open practices? Are they just like eye candy, like a little bit the way they open up the practice at the NCAA tournament, or will you really get to see a practice?
I mean, you'll get to see some warm-ups. You'll get to see some shooting games, and I'm sure that they will scrimmage. I mean, Taylor Jenkins typically will run guys through drills, and he wants to wear a microphone and describe to the fans exactly what's going on and things of that nature. I mean, it does become a little bit more of an exhibition than a practice, because typically what they'll do is they'll probably be in the practice facility, do a little real practice, and then come and do a scrimmage. And of course, everybody's looking for the highlight dunks and everything. But it's that first look for fans to be really their first in-person look at Zach Edey, which that's going to be very big, and Jalen Wells, and I think it's always a lot of fun. And for the season ticket holders, there's going to be the chalk talk with Taylor Jenkins and Zach Kleiman ahead of that. So that for the people that are the season ticket holders, that's their extra benefit to it, and I'm sure they're going to want to hear from those two guys about the direction of the franchise and their prospects for the season.
Looking forward to that. All right, last thing. Were you sandbagging us last week?
No.
Yes,
I really
you were, weren't you, with Notre Dame?
No, I'm one of those guys that I always take a look at the negative side of it. I mean, look, I mean, A&M had 105,000 people in the stands, had a tremendous defensive line, and Notre Dame has an offensive line with 6 career starts among them. They did well enough, and just barely enough. And I think part of it is that the quarterback for A&M just really had a bad night. Riley Leonard didn't have a great night, but Notre Dame they got enough to scrape it around and get a win, which was great for them. But I was definitely concerned, and I wasn't the only one. I mean, there were some national writers, and certainly everybody on the ESPN pregame show picked Texas A&M. So I wasn't sandbagging. I did have some concerns, but they were allayed by a good performance by Notre Dame.
You look at the Notre Dame schedule, that thing goes a long, long way because it's till USC at the end. It's pretty easy,
relatively speaking. But let's not sleep on Georgia Tech, for example.
Oh, that's true.
And maybe Mike Norvell gets things turned around in Florida State. Although the way they played against Boston College, that appears to be a real disaster.
Well, I really hope they do, but not next Saturday.
Right, exactly.
All right, my friend, enjoy your time. We'll be chatting with you next Thursday. Enjoy.
All right, thanks, Wolo.
That is our man. That is Pete Prenica out in California for a concert and some hiking. That sounds like an idyllic thing, especially, although it's awfully hot there in Palm Springs. We will talk more football. As he just mentioned, A&M and their loss. SEC was 13-3 last week. Wasn't a bad week, but A&M did lose. Florida lost. I'll tell you, South Carolina barely won against pretty mid-level competition. We'll talk SEC with our SEC historian, Ron Higgins. He comes your way from Baton Rouge in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farm All, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find the Case IH Farm All that's right for you.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Getting engaged soon? Don't make her settle for one of those knockoff mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores. Get to Genesis Diamonds and get her that one-of-a-kind ring she really wants from a world-class designer. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis Diamonds has the rings on every woman's wish list. Truly handcrafted rings made in the USA from names like Tacori, Coraggio, and dozens more. We're not even allowed to sell these amazing brands, but you can get them at Genesis. This is one amazing store owned by a former diamond wholesaler. Every diamond is straight from the cutter with rock bottom prices, and nothing's held back. They'll show you the inside secrets of the diamond business and teach you how to buy like a dealer buys. They can also explain the differences between natural and lab-grown diamonds, so you can buy with total confidence. We're lucky to have Genesis here, so check them out. It's extended. You will thank me. Check them out online at genesisdiamonds.com.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg at East Memphis Estates. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ready to cook in only 15 minutes with good temperatures from below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between. Change your at-home cooking experience for life with our unmatched on-egg wood-fired grill flavor that has our customers raving. Get your Big Green Egg and all our accessories at East Memphis Ace on the corner of South Flag Station and Quince Road.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
Kevin Harlan here from Westwood One. Join Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and me for the opening night kickoff of the new NFL season from Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes and the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Chiefs take on MVP Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. It's a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. Don't miss any of the action on NFL Kickoff.
Right here on Sports 56.
Vanguard is 100% client-owned, serving over 50 million investors every day. Whether you're planning for retirement, putting your kids through college, or saving up for your next adventure, Vanguard can help you set personalized investment goals. All investing is subject to risk. Vanguard is owned by its funds, which are owned by Vanguard's fund shareholder clients. Copyright 2024, The Vanguard Group, Inc. All rights reserved. Vanguard Marketing Corporation Distributor.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. It cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in store. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards to find a store near you. Visit sleepnumber.com.
We'll pilot our way down south, Baton Rouge, Our SEC historian, Ron Higgins, is about to join us. And what did you learn, Mr. Higgins, from week one? Let's start with Georgia. What they did to Clemson was pretty dominating. They just pick up right where they left off. Kirby Smart's team is really good.
Yep, I agree. They're like a machine. They remind me of old Alabama teams that are dumb in every phase of the game. They're well balanced on offense and defense. They're deep. Nothing rattles them. I mean, Kirby has built an Alabama program in Athens. He's done a really good job.
Anything else? Let's take South Carolina, for instance. Barely winning. I was shocked at that. Barely getting by Old Dominion by 4 points, 23-19. Or Vandy, which we thought was the worst team in the SEC, upsetting Virginia Tech, looking pretty good. I know it was in overtime, but they had to come back and win that game. I don't believe they had ever come back in the last year or maybe two from being down in the fourth quarter.
I agree. I mean, Vandy's not a comeback team. Once you get them down, they're done. But give them credit. I mean, their new quarterback, Diego Pavia, transfer from New Mexico. Apparently, man, he was dynamite. I mean, he was just, as far as running the football, he was impressive. And frankly, they need a playmaker quarterback, guys. Because we just not. At Vandy, you have to have a mobile quarterback because the blocking is not going to be that good, and you really need a quarterback who can run. This guy apparently can run. Had a nice game, and then he sparked them. And good for Vanderbilt. I mean, they've been. They got surely will have a chance to go 2-0. They play Alcorn this week. And I can't remember last time Vandy started 2-0. Usually it just doesn't happen for them because they always come out of the gate and lose right away. But good for them. It's nice to see that.
Well, then they got Georgia State in Atlanta. I think that's where they play that in the old Turner Field. I think.
Yeah, you know what? Vandy has started 2-0 the last 2 years. But
they could start 3-0 this year.
Yeah, they could start. They started 2-0 in 22 and 2-0 in 23, but and then it fell off. I mean, last year they won their first 2 games and lost the rest. So there you go. So they need to build off of this one.
They look like a complete team against an ACC team. This was a weird week for the ACC. Although I'll say this much, Miami looked pretty good. Now you've got 3 teams that lost. In the non-conference, the SEC was 13-3. You had, the usual blowouts, like Arkansas. 10 times they had the ball, 10 times they scored a touchdown. They're not scoring 70 again this year. That I can promise you. But that was against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Look at 76 Ole Miss put on Furman. That's 76 points. My goodness. Tennessee could have scored a whole lot more if they really wanted to, and they beat Chattanooga 69-3. The 3 losses are the ones that intrigued me the most. Florida looked overmatched by Miami, no doubt about it. You had a great game, LSU and USC. USC looks like a lot better team. And then Notre Dame, in another good game, beat A&M in A&M with 105,000 people. Of those 3 losses, which one do you think hurts the most for that particular program?
Wow. I think what A&M has the rest of the year. I mean, a lot of times you look at what they have non-conference the rest of the year. I mean, can they come back from that? McNeese, Bowling Green,
and New Mexico State.
You know what? I would say it probably hurts A&M because they don't play anybody. They don't play Alabama. They don't play Georgia. They got Texas the last game. I mean, you need somebody else on your. They got LSU in October, but they need somebody else on their schedule to kind of help them, bring back. If they want to have a chance at the playoff at the end of the year. I just think they did start anyway. So,
I hear that argument. I think the other one could be for Florida because we know the killer that they have at the end.
Oh my God, this November's just ridiculous.
Well, and then okay, so they're going to be 1-1. They got Samford this week. Then they got to play A&M, even though that's at home. I think Notre Dame is actually pretty good. I would think you would make A&M the favorite right now, even on the road in Gainesville. I mean, this is starting to look like Florida and Billy Napier don't have much of a future.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people in Florida, but they're really, they just don't think he has a plan. They don't see he has any vision for what he's doing. That was, I think, the most points Florida ever gave up against Miami. And to do that your first game is not a good look. They need to get to the first part of their schedule. I mean, with a winning record, that would help because the last, good God, the last 5 games are just stupid. LSU, I mean, they had a chance to come back. They just didn't finish USC off. They just really didn't. They just had a couple of misplays on offense where they just second half they could have kept drives going. It didn't happen, and there were some fumbles on the ground they couldn't get to, and they had a couple of really stupid penalties by a couple of their veterans. And I'm not talking like holding or something like that. I'm talking about dumb, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, like, LSU's number 1 receiver now, Kyron Lacey, scores a touchdown, and Panamine's shooting a gun in the end zone at a USC defender. Just stupid stuff like that.
In the post-game press conference, Brian Kelly smashed his hand down, knocked down a water bottle, and sort of blamed the players, but then kind of blamed himself. I saw some people write and say some cheap shots against Brian Kelly. Do you think he's misunderstood?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do. He's a good coach, man. Look, and he's for his players, but he's also a guy that, he took, if you listen to the whole quote he made, he took responsibility and I got to coach him better. But he's right. You got to polish people off. You just can't stand on the sideline and think you have the game won. And LSU kind of played that way in some phases. And he has a right to be angry. I don't get this stuff. I thought about this for a long time in the past couple of years. It was always kind of taboo for the media not to criticize college players. They're just college players, They're amateurs. They're now getting paid. They're getting paid now. So, can you be more critical of them? I would think so. Can my coach be more critical of them? I would think so. But again, Brian Kelly didn't throw him under the bus. He just said, we're talking about the same thing. We're not finishing people off, and then he took the blame for it, like most coaches do. But there's a lot of coaches who they say that just to say it, and when they're really thinking, I've coached my butt off with these guys, they don't listen. A lot of times I think coaches take the blame and the blame should be on the players, honestly. I really do. I've seen basketball games where no effort has been given and the coach takes responsibility for, it's my job to get them ready. Well, no, it's not your job to get them to play hard. They should want to play hard.
But we give accolades to coaches whose teams do play hard. We do think there is some credit to that in the coach.
Yeah, but when they don't play hard, coaches LSU had a game last year. They were favored heavily, and LSU wasn't very good last year. They just came to get favored heavily in the SEC. I can't remember who it was, and they just came around and out and walked around, and got beat. Asked LSU's coach after the game about it. What about this? He goes, well, it's my job to get them ready. And I said, don't you think it's their job to play hard? He goes, well, yeah, but I think players need to take more responsibility a lot of times too. I really do. And now that they're getting paid, Wolo, I think they're a little more open to criticism. I'm sorry, I really do. I know a lot of people won't agree with me. A lot of parents are out there saying, well, I don't like my kid being criticized. Well, if your kid's getting paid now, you're probably open to more criticism.
I think you can make a fair argument that says, I mean, they're still 18 or sometimes 17, like the running back Memphis had to play last week.
Yeah.
And most of them are in, they're very early 20s, so they're still kids. But there is a thing about once you've taken money to play the game, I think you are more open to you're like an adult. You're taking money for it. So with that comes the responsibility of achieving. And if you don't, you're probably more apt to be criticized. I get that.
And also the fact that if these are upperclassmen making these mistakes, absolutely, they're open to criticism.
Yeah.
You've been around here 4 years now, okay? You shouldn't be doing stupid stuff like that. Unsportsmanlike killing the end zone, and then popping your helmet off before you get to the sideline. That's automatic penalty. Stuff like that. And that led to 10 USC points. That's ball game.
There are 6 interesting games in the SEC with betting lines within 13 points that have big names attached. Texas and Michigan, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Cal, Auburn, Tennessee, NC State, Mississippi State, and Arizona State. And then you've got the one conference game, South Carolina and Kentucky. Which one or two of those games intrigues you the most?
Of course, I like. Where's the game I was looking for? I really like this game. Texas and Michigan.
Yeah, great game.
That's a great game. I really like Texas. I think Sarkisian has kind of finally built a roster that's SEC worthy. I mean, they've been. I mean, their last under him, his recruiting classes. Number 5 this year, number 3 last year, number 5 in 22, and then number 15 when he took over. He's built this team, the SEC caliber team. I really like this team. I think they'll win it. I think they'll win in Michigan.
Yeah, well, they're 7.5-point favorites in the Big House, so that says something for sure.
Tennessee, North Carolina State. I think I really like. Was it Nico Amalava? Did I pronounce the name? Amalava. Yeah, the quarterback.
Imialava? Imialava?
Or I just say, I'm going to destroy you. That's his last name. Nico, I'm going to destroy you. They got their quarterback he's finally wanted. I mean, Heupel's got a guy who can really operate and put up points. And I said at the start of the season that Tennessee is my SEC dark horse, and I'm sticking with them.
Yeah.
I think they could be. They got a really good test at Oklahoma in their first SEC game in a week or two.
Well, this should be a test because it's a neutral. It's in Charlotte, and NC State. Some people have thought they could win the ACC, which I think is going to be wide open.
Yeah.
But I've said this all along. You give Josh Heupel a quarterback and some receivers, and any kind of defense are going to be in every game because they're going to score a lot. His system scores. It's proven, and he's got that now. So I think they're going to be terrific. I'm with you.
Yeah. Arkansas, Oklahoma State's tough to figure. I can't tell about Arkansas. They beat Pine Bluff.
I think Oklahoma State wins that game going away.
Yeah, I think they do too. I mean, and Cal and Auburn. This is the first time Auburn's played a non-conference home opener against a Power 5 team in 2016. I think Auburn's a lot better than people think they are. But I told you I like Auburn. They've got much better receivers than they had last year. Hugh's got them a crop of transfer receivers who are really good. I like Auburn in that one.
Well, they're 13-point favorites in that game, and Hugh Freeze can score. We know that. And what did they do? They put 73 up on Alabama A&M. You look at the numbers that Arkansas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Auburn put up. I mean, they're in the upper 60s. It's absolutely crazy. As always, my friend, we appreciate it, and we'll be week 3 when we chat next Thursday.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Thank you. That's our man, our historian on the SEC. That is Ron Higgins down in Baton Rouge. When we come back, we talk to the Hall of Famer, Jarvo, We talk some Tigers, some football, and the basketball reaction with Jarvis Greer when we come back.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Ken Garland, you are in your 72nd year of business. Your son William is now joining you. What do you think is the key to your longevity in the building business?
My dad started the business in 1965, and I think being on the job sites daily and being accessible to homeowners has been a key to our success.
You guys have a work ethic, as you like to say. You're not hiring people to be on the site. You guys are there every day.
We interact with the subcontractors multiple times a day on each job site. I think that has been a key, as well as using the same subcontractors 20-plus years in most cases.
When you talk about materials, what is the first thing you're thinking about when somebody comes to you to build a home?
We're just trying to meet the expectations of the client and the homeowner and the architect and give them what their dream is.
When you get a Ken Garland home, what do you guarantee?
We'll be there after the job is finished. We're still accessible to all our clients.
Now I need to know, how do I get a hold of Ken Garland?
You can reach us at kengarland.com.
Hi, fellas. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. It's almost football time now. The days are getting shorter, the weather's changing, and we all are beginning to at least think about Christmas. But between now and Christmas, many of you may have a special lady with a birthday or an anniversary to celebrate, an occasion to show her how much you care. Jewelry, no matter the reason, is always the best gift to let her know how important she is, and we can help you. Visit us at 4646 Poplar. Come see our wide selection of the finest jewelry in Memphis, jewelry that's guaranteed to make her happy. Come see the most magnificent diamonds and gemstones that truly dance with beauty and will put a smile on her face. Men, we can help you find just the perfect piece, the piece that says I love you. For years, we've offered the most stunning jewelry in Memphis, and when you couple that jewelry with our quality, beauty, value, and service, you'll be glad you joined the Russell Brothers Fine Jewelry family. Come see us at 4646 Poplar at Perkins, Russell Brothers Jewelers.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and clean quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway and the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises. Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. And once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloship.
We always end our Thursdays by going downtown and chatting with our good friend. That would be Jarvis Greer. Good morning. This is a morning filled with anticipation for this football season, and the Tigers and Troy will play at 11 o'clock at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We'll get into that in a second. But it's one that is now an anxious few weeks coming our way with basketball. And Penny Hardaway's program, after an anonymous letter that was sent to the NCAA involving academic fraud and allegations of pay of players before it was legal to pay them. And on top of that, we see 4 more coaches get jettisoned from Penny's program at a time when most programs are very secure in who they will have leading them the rest of the way. Good morning. Your takes on all of this.
Wow, that's a whole lot to have a lot of takes on. I tell you, my first thought when the original thing, the firing of the assistants, including Rick Stansberry, was okay. I think this has something to do with the Malco situation from last year. Remember, how many games was left left in the season when they set last year?
5.
And then we got wind that could be like some sort of academic shenanigans going on, which was odd to me at the time because he'd already graduated.
Right, exactly.
But, whatever. So, okay, they do that. That's the new AD coming in saying, all right, we got to clear house. But with the advent of this letter that came out in Sports Illustrated about that kind of details some of the things that were allegedly going on with the program, then you think, well, all right, this looks like the NCAA is not messing around on this, even though some of the things that are in there are allowed now. This may have gone on before, with the advent of NIL and all that stuff. But then the academic issue is still there, and I think that's it's God saying we have to do something now. So that's why the assistants are out, and then we'll see, how much this is if it gets tied to Penny, and then we'll see what happens from there. Nobody wants to see Penny Hardaway have to fall on the sword like the other guys, but this is a program that's got to work within the rules, and whatever rules there are that may have been broken, there is a letter. The school acknowledged that they did receive a letter from the NCAA. So that gives credence to the fact that, they know something's going on. I also know that Ed Scott was hired at Morgan State to help get them out of some sort of NCAA problems that they were in that looked really, really bad for them. And he helped them, navigate their way through that when he was up at Morgan State in Baltimore. So, that may be one of the reasons why he's now here in Memphis, because they know he has dealt with the NCAA on these kind of things before. And that also may be one of the reasons why there is a new AD at Memphis, because the old AD is gone, and, when things happen and things are coming up, you find the first exit, or the school says, well, you got to go. So.
Usually, you don't
penalty.
fall up to a Power 4 like the SEC. So
I think also in Laird Beach's, to his credit, he was on their short list before. They finally got him. They finally hired him, and also he had exacted, $1.2 million out of Missouri for not skipping out totally on their contract to play Memphis.
Right.
Last year, they ended up being a neutral site, but the Tigers got paid pretty good for it now and almost got the win. So I think they were impressed with that.
The most worrisome thing is the academic fraud that is bothersome, because in that letter of allegations, it's not just Malcolm. There are 3 other players, I believe, that are mentioned in there, or maybe not named, but there's the allegation that there are others that are involved. The thing that bothers me the most about this, though, is the anonymity of the letter. I mean, anybody could write a letter and just say wild, crazy things if you don't sign it. But when you're specific, like this letter appears to be, I think the NCAA has to take a look.
Well, I also think that, it's in the interest of journalistic principles, if you just get a letter from somebody anonymously, you don't run with that. No credible news outlet would do that. But since the school did acknowledge that they received that letter, then you got to say that, well, they did get a letter. That is something. So, and then that's being transparent. And then we'll see what goes from here. We can only hope for the best. And I will say this. There are already coaches in place for the ones that left, and that seems to look like a pretty good staff. So we'll see. We'll see what exactly happens with that.
All right. Your take on what Memphis pulled off at Simmons Bank shutout, 40-0 over a North Alabama team that was undermanned. Let's be honest. Memphis was supposed to win the game, and they did.
Mm-hmm. I think I would agree with Ryan. He was on earlier this morning, in the Tiger Sports Report with Greg and Eli, and I agree with Ryan when he said, I think we were just okay. They did what they did, and they were playing vanilla pretty much in everything that they did, and they got through it. The concern is the running game, and that could be just, okay, you got 3 new starters on your offensive line, and they all got to gel, and then you lose your top or 1A back like right away almost in the first quarter, and then your second back gets a little dinged up. Mario Anderson, Sutton Smith, and he's probably out for the year. Ryan said that Silverfield said that they're looking at it, and I'm thinking they probably already know, and they're just going to try to figure out a way to stay it here, which we may find out later today at our coaches' radio production meeting. But they got to scramble around a little bit, or they have to move the chess pieces. I'll put it that way in the running back room. But I think the main thing is making sure that the offensive line, everybody knows what everybody else is doing, because the run game has to be better if Memphis. I think, what did he get, 56 yards rushing?
Yeah.
46 yards rushing, something like that?
No, I think,
and that's against.
That 49 out of Mario Anderson, but he didn't really play in the second half. Neither did the touchdown specialist, Brandon Thomas. He was not dressed, I don't think, the second half.
The second half. So, there's still plenty of backs in there, plus Makari Bodiford, they really like. He's a big kid. He's only 17 years old, but he's a big truck now. So, they do have that, and he's just going to have to, next man up, be ready to go, because his number will be called upon, in a long season and we hope this is a really long season, for the University of Memphis football Tigers. So there's still some really good running backs in there, and if they get the offensive line straight, as far as just knock them out of the way, open up some holes. There's some backs to run through.
Early game Saturday, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, Troy. That's 11 o'clock the kickoff, and this is a Troy team that had such a high preseason power ranking by so many, but when you delve into it a little bit, new coach, a lot of new players, 19 different guys made their first career starts last week, and they lost. They missed a 2-point conversion attempt to try to tie a Nevada team that they were actually favored to beat. Memphis is a big favorite in this game, as they should be. What do you expect?
Well, if you look at their game against Nevada, they came down. They had their last drive was really, really good. Their quarterback, who's new this year to that team, Frank Harris. They're not. I'm thinking UTSA.
Yeah.
They came down and had a really good drive, and their last drive was a new quarterback and scored, and they went for 2 and didn't get it, and they lost by 2. But Nevada gave SMU all it could want, and SMU was supposed to go and blitz them in the opener. So Nevada must be halfway decent, and Troy, even though that they lost so many players, most of their offensive production has gone from last year. What did they go, 23-5 over the last 2 years?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Conference,
yep.
Back-to-back conference championships. I guess some of those guys got to graduate, go away at some point. So now, and they have a new head coach, and the old head coach who moved on is now at Tulane. He said, "Well, I had all my great players, so it's time to go." He took advantage of having that great run to get him a job at Tulane. But that's still a really proud program. I think they've got 69 wins over the last however many years that would be. Memphis has 70. They got 69. So it's a proud program, and they've won a lot down there, and I'm sure that they'll figure out a way to get back. But this would be a game that you would expect Memphis to win at home. They're favorites. Tigers are favored to win, and I just want to see improvement from game 1 to game 2 from the Tigers.
Me too, and we'll find out a little bit more in just a little bit as we head to the South Campus for our meetings. Jarvo, see you in a bit. Thank you much. We'll talk next Thursday.
All right, Dave. See you in a bit.
That's our guy, Jarvo. Brought to you in part by Miramichi. Oh, yeah. I love talking about this golf course because there are so many good things to talk about. First, the competition level. You can go back to 7,000 yards. They've had so many major national junior tournaments there because they understand its competition. And then let's talk about the condition it's in. The greens, unbelievable. And then we'll talk about beauty. You can't beat it. The back 9 is like walking in the woods with hills and a stream and waterfalls, and it's just gorgeous. And the front is a little more link style. It's pretty as well. You can't beat the whole package because they have the best absolute practice facilities at any public golf course with an area and a huge sand trap to learn that, a chipping area, a big, huge putting green, and an enormous driving range where you can get balls and hit to your heart's delight. I mean, it's all set up perfectly, a great clubhouse, great food, the whole golf experience. 12 minutes from downtown, 22 minutes from my driveway in East Memphis. It's the complete golf experience. It's the beautiful Miramichi. That'll do it for us. We'll make picks tomorrow. Andy Schiffman, we got the whole thing coming your way. Glenn Rogers on high school football. That's tomorrow. Coming up in a minute, there's Johnny Radio. We'll see you again mañana. Have a great day, everybody.